Hi there, my fencing teists. So the last position is going to be the forward position. I learned this as the Spanish position, but that was before I learned destreza and learned about angulo recto. Angulo recto is, I'd say, probably the most authentic of the Spanish fencing positions. So in most cases, they're just using a higher form of the French position or just the French position with regards to modern fencing. The Spanish position as the French position, but shifted forward, I would say is because the three famous fencing schools are the Italian, the French, and the Spanish. And I have heard it said that the Spanish position is a front guard with the blade pointed down in almost a prime or hanging guard. That first hanging guard, I'd say, is more common in Italian fencing, so I do question that to some degree. We'll talk about this more when I get to blade mechanics and wards, but the French position as a neutral stance can go between the rearward Italian stance and the more forward stance pretty easily. And the forward stance is primarily an aggressive stance. Your weight is moving forward, you want to be threatening them, and then you can pull off into a flesh relatively easily. You can pull off into a running movement. Of course, because your weight is forward and most of your weight is kind of coiled on that spring, you can spring back relatively effectively, but that then brings you back into practically a French stance anyway. So I would say that's something to think about. Think about taking that front stance and, sinking into it, seeing how it feels. If this feels good, I feel it, kind of comfortable in some cases where I feel like I need to push the aggression here. I'm going to shift forward. I'm going to be menacing with my blade. It helps me on a psychological level. So think about that. This is your aggressive stance. This is your defensive stance. This is your neutral stance. And practice between those and practice shifting between them. The big thing with the Spanish stance is because your weight is forward, you can pass easily. So you can go into that slipping position or into a gripa stretta relatively easily because your weight is already forward. You just have to bring the feet together to go from the Spanish position into a gripa stretta. And I would say that practicing, and this is another thing you should practice, go from the front position to gripa stretta back to angulo recto, and just notice what it does to the shifting of your weight. You should notice your hips shifting forward and back, creating these interesting bodily mechanics. I'd say that's something to think about, and something to feel that will give you a better sense of your body. So just keep your weight forward, shift forward into gripa stretta, put the foot back into angulo recto, shift forward into a gripa stretta, and then put the foot back and sink into your forward stance. So give that a try. That covers it for the traditional stances. After this, I want to get into the blade work and parries and general fighting positions. So hope this was helpful. Till then, keep your teacups